So with the United Rugby Championship starting soon, let's take a look at each team's key transfer. So Benetton's key transfer this season is Sam Hidalgo-Klein. When he was at Edinburgh a few years ago, he averaged a try about every 4 games, which is pretty good for a scrum half. He then left and jumped around a few clubs before finding himself at Exeter, where he won the English Premiership and the European Champions Cup, and he also has 14 caps for Scotland. He should bring some good pace and experience at number 9 for Benetton. For the Bulls, I've gone with Marco van Staden. He returns to the club after a year away at Leicester Tigers, where he won the Gallagher Premiership. He only played 8 games for them, but he did get injured in December and has now decided to go back to the Bulls this season. He's 9 caps for the Springboks. For Cardiff, I've gone with Talupi Faletau. He is, of course, an absolute superstar for Wales, has 91 Welsh caps. He's signing from Bath, of course, didn't do very well last season, but he has had a lot of injury problems over the years for club and for country, but he will be a very important player for Cardiff this season if they can keep him fit. Now for Canucks, I've gone for Peter Dooley. He made 204 appearances for Leicester over the last few years. Connacht did lose a couple of props. They weren't necessarily really prominent players, but they probably needed to bring in numbers, and they have replaced those props with some absolute quality. Now for the Dragons, I've gone with Rob Evans. He's an absolute veteran with 39 caps for Wales and 151 appearances for Scarlets. He is exactly what the Dragons need, some experience up front, and will be an absolute quality signing for the Dragons. For Edinburgh, I've gone with Sam Skinner. He'll be a really good option at lock along with Gilchrist, Hodgson and Sykes. He has 22 caps for Scotland and did win the Champions Cup and the English Premiership at Exeter, and played a very crucial rotation role for that side. Now for Glasgow, I've gone for Hugh Jones. He had a great time at his first stint at Glasgow, where he made about 40 appearances, and he also made 30 Scotland caps. He's been a bit hit and miss in recent years. When he first sort of came through, he looked like an absolute superstar, and he's been a bit off it, but he's had a fantastic season at Harlequins last year, and hopefully he'll come back to Glasgow and perform like he did last season and a few years ago. Now for Leinster, I've gone with Charlie Ngatai. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. Leinster haven't signed that many players as they normally do. A lot of their new signings are academy graduates. He did play for Leon for a few seasons, making 86 appearances for the Challenge Cup winners, and has 1 New Zealand cap. That should be a good option for Leinster. Now for the Lions, I've gone with Marius Lowe. They also haven't signed too many players, but he came from the Sharks and looks like he should be a solid option for the worst performing South African side last season in the centres. Now for Munster, I've gone for Malachi Fekitoa. He's an absolute superstar, and he's been a key man for everyone he has played for. He has 24 New Zealand caps and now 1 Tonga cap after using the Olympic loophole. He'll be a fantastic player for Munster. Now for the Ospreys, I've gone with Jack Walsh. And who's that, you might say? That's what I said too. He's the only guy they've signed. I think they've loaned someone from the English Championship or something like that. He's the only permanent signing they've made. He's made 5 appearances at 4 years at Exeter. He's a fairly young guy. He qualifies for the USA and Australia, but has never represented either of them, so I'm not sure what to expect from him. But it does seem that he is a bit of a hot prospect. He's eligible to play for Wales. That's probably also part of the reason this signing has happened. Now for Scarlets, I've gone with Via Fafita. Be an absolutely quality signing for them. He's made 11 caps for New Zealand and has been important everywhere he has gone. And he made 18 appearances for Wasps last season. Should be a very good option for the Scarlets. And for the Sharks, I've gone with Eben Etzebeth. Of course, we all know how good he is. He's probably one of the best signings for a URC side this season. He's got over 100 caps for South Africa and is playing very well in this year's Rugby Championship, and he can also scare some Wallabies as well. For the Stormers, I've gone with Joseph Dweba. Again, not a huge amount of signings from the South African sides, but I think Dweba will be a good option for the Stormers. He's been a bit under fire in recent weeks for his performances for South Africa. I think there is a good player in there, and he will be a very good option for the reigning champions. For Ulster, I've gone with Sean Raffel. He was a very important player for the Saracens in their promotion season back up to the Premiership, and he's also Irish qualified, which means we might be seeing him in an Ireland shirt soon if he does well at Ulster. He also holds a Saracens record for most tackles in a match, which is 39, so that's a pretty good record for a player you're signing. And for Zebre, I've gone with Jacques de Toit. Zebre have brought in a lot of players, but I wouldn't say they brought in an awful lot of quality. A lot of their players have come from the top 10 in Italy, and their other players like Jacques de Toit have come from lower teams in other leagues. I think they signed a player from the English Championship. De Toit has come from Bath, who of course didn't do very well last season. He has a good amount of experience in South Africa, so he will perhaps be very useful when Zebre travel down there. All these players will soon make debuts for their new clubs. So why not find out the oldest debut for each Rugby Championship side right here? Thanks for watching.